Welcome. My name is Jitender and I am your tutor for today's session on Git and GitHub. As we all know, it becomes very easy to understand any concept when we are able to relate it with the real life situation or an object. So I would be using the same approach and we would be learning Git and GitHub by using train analogy. Let me just show you what train analogy I am referring here, as most of us might have traveled by train to go from one place to another. So what are the different steps that comes in between? You reach out to the train station. If you are new customer, then you would be buying a ticket from the ticket counter, and then you would be going to platform, and from platform you would be boarding the train. You travel towards your desired destination. So we would be using this similar approach when I would be explaining Git and GitHub. So don't worry, nothing to remember right now. We'll come back to this later. I have just given you the glimpse. So before we actually start, let's understand what are the topics that I'm going to cover in this video. We'll start with Git and GitHub Basic. Then we would be covering Git Workflow with train analogy. Then we'll understand Git command flow. Basically, what are the commands that are getting used when we are going from one stage to another stage. Then we would understand the steps for GitHub Signup and what are the steps for the Git installation on Linux machine. And I would be actually running this in the live environment as well. And then we will create our first project. Let's start. We'll start with the GitHub. GitHub acts as remote repository. Repository here you can understand is more of a storage. Since GitHub is accessible through website, so we'll say it as the remote repository, and we can store our project files there. GitHub is owned by Microsoft, so it is no more an open source. In 2018, Microsoft acquired GitHub, and there are few things that are freely available like creating a public repository, and you can create one private repository. If you require to create more, then you would require to buy the license from Microsoft. Now let's understand Git. Git acts as local repository. Here, as I mentioned, repository is nothing but storage, and you would be storing all your project files on your local machine. So you can work on your local machine. Once you are happy with all the changes, then you can move your files to the remote repository that is in the GitHub. I will be explaining that in the Git workflow, so don't worry. Next is Git is an open source, so you don't need to pay any license fee. The third point that we have is Git is distributed version control system. Let's first understand what is version control system, then we'll jump back to the distributed. Let's say you are working in a project and you have created two files, or let's say one is HTML and another is CSS. So those two files you are storing in your repository and you give it a name that is version 1. So just understand it like you have added these files in a box and you have given that box name that is version 1. Next day you are coming and then you have worked on another file in the same project, file number 3. Now you have 3 files, so you are storing it as version 2. So this is also another box. Why this versioning is required? Let's say something wrong happened because of this version 2 in your system. You can quickly switch back to the version 1, and then you can spend your time to investigate what was wrong in this file. So that is the reason version control system plays an important role. And this is the reason that most of the live applications, they are quickly switched back to the earlier stable version in case something wrong happen. Let's now understand the definition. Version control system is a system that helps in recording changes to a file or set of files. It can be one file or multiple files over time, so that if needed, you can recall specific version. So if anything wrong happen, then you can quickly recall your earlier version. So that is the intention of using the version control system. Now let's understand what are the types of version control systems. There are typically 2 types primarily. One is called as centralized version control system, Second is distributed version control system. In centralized version control system, we have single repository. We don't have any local repository. What does it mean? That your entire code will stay on this remote repository. You don't have any code on your local. You are directly connecting to this remote repository and working there. So let's say there are 10 people. So 10 people will be working on the same directory, same code, and entire code will stay here. Whereas in case of distributed, what you do is you get a copy of this entire code on your local machine. You make changes and then you push your changes that you have done back to remote repository. If there are 10 people, then everyone will have a copy of it. So you can say that 10 copies are created. So that gives an advantage and people can work independently. Second point is commit changes directly on remote. Since you have a single repository, so everything you are doing is happening here. Whatever changes you are doing, whatever changes you are committing, everything is happening at the one place on the remote repository. Whereas in case of distributed, you have taken the copy. So you are doing everything on your local machine. Once you are ready with the changes, then you can send your changes to the remote repository. So you can do multiple commits on your local machine and then push those changes back to remote repository. Now that is the important point. If remote repository gets corrupted, then it is very difficult to recover. Since our entire code is placed at one place. If anything happen here, you don't have any other code or any other place, right? So you will not be able to work, and sometimes it's very difficult to recover the code if it gets corrupted badly. Whereas in case of distributed, since you have taken the copy on all the user's machine, even anything wrong happen, it can be recovered from the respective machines. So it's very easy to restore. So these are the key points that you can make a note. And the example of centralized version control systems are CVS and SVN, that is subversion. Whereas for distributed, it is Git and Mercurial. So Git falls under this distributed version control system type. The next point is Git is lightweight due to incremental snapshot. Let's understand why it is lightweight due to incremental snapshot. So what is incremental snapshot? This we have recently seen, like you have worked on 2 files, you are storing it as version 1. You have worked on 3rd file, then you are storing all three files as version 2. Now every time you are changing, you are storing the entire project, which will consume lots of your storage. So instead the concept came as incremental, like we only store those files where the changes have been made. So if you see, compare this with the version 1, only file 3 has been added. Nothing has happened to file 1 and file 2. So in version 2, we would be storing only file 3. Now, since we are not storing entire code again and again, so it's not taking so much of storage and it becomes very lightweight. Okay, let's understand the definition now. Incremental snapshots consist of only those changes which happened after previous snapshot. So as we compare, like only file 3 has been changed, so that is what is getting stored as version 2. Now you might be thinking like, okay, when we would be deploying or using this version 2, it will have only this file. No, this Git would be playing a very smart role here. When we would be accessing version 2, it will automatically pull the earlier files. Earlier files means it would automatically pull files from earlier versions, will combine everything here and will give you entire project. So this is how the Git would be playing that role. Now let's move to Git workflow. Here I am sharing the typical Git workflow. We have on the right hand side, we have GitHub repository, which is called as remote repository, whereas local Git repository is on your local machine. And these are the different stages that you have. You have a project directory where you're storing your files. And as soon as you create any new file or make any changes to existing file, it will come to working tree. That is the area that it will first come. Once you do your required changes, you require to move that file to the staging area, and from staging area you require to commit to a branch, and from that branch it will be pushed to remote repository. So that is a typical Git workflow. So don't get confused. I will be relating it with the train analogy, and it is going to be very simple, and you will never forget that, I am sure. Let us have a quick look at train station and our local Git repository. What happened as the very first thing? You have a passenger is going to train station entrance. Who all are there at the train station? Mainly the passenger who already have the ticket, or the passenger who are new and require to buy the ticket. So any new customer or existing customer. Similarly, in project directory in Git, you would be having both the files, any existing file that your project is having or any new file that you are going to create. Now I think it would be easy to understand. So here you can relate passenger with the file. When we are talking about train, it's passenger. When we are talking about Git, it's file. Now you go as a next step, you will go to the ticket counter. Ticket counter, two things can happen. Either you are going to get a new ticket or you are updating the existing ticket. Similarly, as soon as you make any changes on existing files, or you are creating any new file, those files will go to working tree area, and you would be doing all the updates there. Now once you have taken the ticket, you are going to platform. Platform is where when you are ready to board the train. Similarly, once you are done with your changes, you will move it to the staging area, and staging area is the one where when you are ready to commit your changes to a branch. When I say train and branch, it's like, which carries those files. Train is used to carry the passengers, branch is used to carry the project files. Now you have boarded the train, means you have already now you are into the train, and similarly when you come to this stage, you have committed your changes or your files into the branch, and from there your train leaves. Similarly, you push your changes or push your branch from your local machine to remote remote repository. So this is the analogy that that I have used, and once you start relating it, you will never forget this entire workflow. You can take a screenshot of this, and if it is not clear at one, then just I'll say that go through this point, just go a bit back on this video and just understand this point again. This would definitely help you to understand this entire Git workflow. Now let's understand what are the different commands in Git that are getting used when we are going from one stage to another. So first of all, we have our Git repository that is remote, and we have our project directory. This is a very I would say that normal directory. It's not a Git directory as of now. This is a typical directory, and the command that we used on Linux is mkdir, and I have just given this git practice one as the directory name. Then once we create the directory, we entered into the directory using cd command, cd git practice. These are one-time activity that you require to do. Once you run this git init, this is the important command. Once you run the git init git init command, it will convert this normal directory into a Git directory or Git repository. Okay. The next command is git branch -m main. It will create a branch with the name main. When you travel by train, you need the train, right, to carry the passenger. Similarly, you need branch to store your files and to send file from one place to another. So that is the reason this branch we require to have in place. Then we would require to know the name or the GitHub repository URL. Like we require to know the remote directory, remote repository path where we would be sending our files that we are working on our local machine to this remote repository. So this command git remote add origin and then GitHub repo SSH URL. So this is more of a aliasing, like as soon as you refer origin, it will automatically be referring to this, but this entire command required to be run first once. So whatever these steps I am sharing here, these are one-time activity then when you are setting up a project. After that, you don't require to, run it again. All right. So next step is let's create a new file, and we are creating a file one, which is having a content of hello world. And to go from, let's say you are happy with these changes. Now you would like to move this file to the staging area, and the command is git add dot. Dot means all the files which are present in working tree uh, are moving to the staging area. If you would, let's say you have 10 files, you would like to move only one file, then instead of dot, you can use the name of that particular file, git add and file name. That's it. Okay, next step is to send the file from staging area to commit area, and you use the command git commit -m and message. Message is you give the description what changes you have committed, so that if anybody would like to understand, they don't require to just go and check the code. They will simply read this message and understand. And once you commit your changes, you can move your changes from that branch to your remote repository. The command is git push origin main. So this command will push your committed changes from your main branch to your remote repository. Okay. Now let's quickly understand GitHub signup process and Git installation on Linux. So for GitHub signup, I'm just sharing the steps, and then we will be going to the internet browser and will be running those steps. For that, first you require to go to github.com and click on sign up link. You require to enter your email address, password, and unique username. As a next step, it would ask you yes or no if you would like to get an update from Microsoft. So it's up to you whether you press yes or no. Then you can click on create account button. It will send a code on your email address. Then you require to go to your mailbox. You copy that code and paste it back. So once you do that, you enter into the home page. Now you are done with your first step, like signing up in the GitHub, and you are good to create the GitHub repository, but we'll not create it now. We'll create it later when we would be creating our first project. So let's start. Let's do it now on the internet browser. What you can do is go to internet browser, search for GitHub, click here. Click here. On the right hand side, you see this sign up. Click on sign up. It will take few seconds. Okay, now you require to enter your email address. So I have created a dummy email address which I would be using. Cloud tool hub demo @gmail.com. Click next. You require to enter a password. Click continue. Enter a username. So I'll be using this as the username. Continue. Would you like to receive product updates or announcement? I'll say no. Click on continue. Now click on create account. Unable to verify your captcha response. Okay, let's try doing this again. It should have given a captcha, but it was not displaying to us. Okay. Here it is asking, please solve this puzzle. Click start puzzle. Pick one square that shows two identical objects. Which one? Which one? Which one? Which one? There. Okay. Click this one. Again, we require to pick a square where we have two identical objects. I see like this one. Now you can click on create account. It says, please verify your email address. We sent a launch code on this email. I have my Gmail opened here. Okay, I have this email. Click here. Okay, you have copy this code. Go back to this. Click on this box. Control V. Okay. Now it will ask you, it will try to personalize this for you. So what you can do is you can skip this one. Click here. All right. So you have created your GitHub account and this is your home page. So we can create our repository from here as well, but we'll do it later when when we would be creating our first project. So let's go back to our presentation. So we are done with this step. So next step is Git package installation. Git package, we would be doing this installation on Linux, and Git always comes by default with Linux. So for that, what you require to do is you need to log in into Linux machine. Run this command sudo su. By this, you would be getting a root user access. Once you do that, run this command which git. If git is already installed there, it will show you the path. Otherwise, it will say no, git is not present. For installing git, in case git is not there, you require to run this command yum install git -y. Then again, after this command, you will run which git, and you should be able to see the path. And to know which particular version git is installed, you require to run git -v command. Once your installation of Git is done, then you would require to do the basic configuration, and that is very important point. In this configuration, you require to do two configuration. First is you require to set your name. Second is your email address. Why we are doing it? Because once you would be committing your changes and pushing it to remote repository, then other users who are accessing that remote repository will be able to see who did that change. So this information will go when you would be committing your changes, your name and your email address. So people will get to know like, okay, you are the one who has committed those changes. So this is very important configuration that you require to do. Next is SSH connection. Now, your code is on your local repository, and GitHub is the remote repository. So somehow you wanted to create a connection for accessing the remote repository or sending your code to the remote repository. And there are multiple ways. Another way is also HTTPS, but we would be using SSH connection, which is mostly used across organizations, across industry. So for creating the SSH connection, I'm just sharing the steps. First, you require to go to the home directory and go to this .ssh directory. .ssh means it's a hidden directory. Run ls, you will see what are the files that are present there. After that, you would be running this command ssh keygen -t rsa. So this particular command, there are three primary information. Keygen is for generating the key, public key and private key. If you want to have a particular, if you have any query regarding public and private key, please write in the comment section. If you want, I can create a separate video for that. So using keygen, you would be creating two keys, public key and private key. And what is the mechanism or token approach that would be used? That is RSA. And at the end, you would require to give your email address. So just make a note of this command. This is one-time activity that you require to do. Run this SSH hyphen keygen hyphen T RSA hyphen B 4096 hyphen capital C and then your email address. Once you run that command, public and private key will be generated and they will be placed at .ssh path. Then do ls. You would be able to find a file with extension .pub. .pub means public. If this file doesn't have extension, it is private file. So using cat command, you can see the content. You require to copy the content and then you require to go to github.com where your repository is. You require to go to settings, then you go to access section, click on SSH and GPG keys section or menu item. Then you click on new SSH key. You enter the title for the key and paste this. Whatever content you have copied here, you would be pasting in the key field and then click on add SSH key. Don't worry, I will be running this command live. So for the timing, you can just make a note of it. And then from our local machine, we would be running this SSH hyphen small v capital T git@github.com. This is standard signing process. So you would always require to run this one for the first time. So git@github.com. If you run this as an output, you should be able to see the success message. Okay. So let's try and run this into our live environment. My Linux machine on AWS and AWS gives free access for 720 hours for using these systems, which are some of those are freely available. And I would be using this Linux machine as free. And if you want to know how to get this Linux machine from AWS, just write in the comment section. I can create a separate video. So let's quickly start our instance. I will click on this and let me just make a note of pub. I just copied there and I would be going to putty. This is the terminal that we would be using. Paste and for credentials I require to upload. Okay, just click on this private key. Okay, click open, accept. EC2-user is the default user for AWS Linux. Let me just increase the font, change setting, appearance. Let's increase this to 16. Click this, apply. Sudo su, clear. Now the very first command is we need to run is which git. It says no git. It's not able to find the git. So let's install the git now. Yum install git -y, enter. Now it will install this git package. Okay, pretty much fast. It's done. Let's run this command again, which git. Now you are able to say the path. And to know which particular version the git has been installed, run this command git -v. It says git version 2.38.1. All right. Now our git is installed. As a next step, we require to do the configuration. So let's start on git config --global. Then you require to mention your name, user dot name. Let's say demo user. Enter. git config hyphen global user dot email, and let me just give it demo user @gmail.com. So it doesn't authenticate or something, it's just that whatever information you would be mentioning here, it will assume it is true. Till this part, we are done with our Git configuration. Now we require to create the SSH connection. For that, let us first go to this tilde symbol, click /.ssh, enter. Now you are into this directory. I do ls, let me do ls -l. So this is a file which is authorized key. There is not pub or .pub, no file is there with that name. So what we can do is let us generate the public and private key. For that I mentioned the command ssh hyphen key gen is for generating key hyphen t rsa hyphen b 4096 hyphen capital C. Then you require to mention your email address. So I'll just let's say we are giving this email address, enter. Now it will ask, okay, enter the file in which you want to save. I'll just keep it, if you don't give anything, it will restore it at the default place in .ssh. So I'll let it store here. Enter passphrase. Passphrase is like password. Whenever you would be connecting with the GitHub, do you want explicitly to enter any password or not? So I'll say I don't need it. That's fine. We'll keep it empty. We'll keep it empty and done. So it has created your public and private key now. Let me do ls -l. Now if you compare, earlier we had only this file. Now we have two more files. So as a next step, what we require to do is we will see the content of .pub, that is our public key. Copy this content, select everything till this point. As soon as you select in Linux, it will automatically copy it, and you can directly paste it to the GitHub now. So I have copied it, and let me just go to GitHub repository. This is GitHub. Now we would require to go to settings here. And on the left hand side, this is the access section, and we have this menu item SSH key and GPG keys. Click here. Since we have the SSH key, so we would be clicking on this new SSH key, and title is demo user SSH key. I can paste whatever I copied from the SSH key and click on add SSH key. Okay, now it has added. So how to check it? We will go back to our portal, and let's clear this one. Go back to our remote, our home directory. Let's run the command ssh -v capital T git @github.com. Enter. So it will say, are you sure you want to continue connecting? I'll say yes. Enter. And you would be able to see this connection successfully authenticated. So this success message means your SSH connection has been established between your local machine and GitHub. Let's clear this one. Let's go back to our presentation. So we are done with till this point. As a next step, let's try to create our first project. For that, let us first understand what are the different steps. So on GitHub, you logged into the GitHub. We are already logged in, and you will find a button to create new repository, and you can click on to create repository button. I'll show you on the website, so don't worry. And once you create your remote repository on your local machine, these are the steps that you require to run to create your first project. So most of these steps I already showed you when we were just going through command workflow. First, we will create a directory. We'll enter into that directory. will run this git init command. It will initialize this directory as git directory. We will create our first branch, that is main branch. Then we'll add the details of remote repository. This particular URL should be SSH URL because we have created the SSH connection. So I'll show you from where we can get this URL. We will create our first file as file1, which will be having this content as hello world. Then these are two commands that I have just added. One is git status and second is git log. So git status command will show files present in working tree and staging area, right? We have those areas, working tree and staging area. If we would like to know what all files are present, git status will give us. So as soon as we create our file, it will go to working tree and we can see using git status command. After that, we would be running git add dot. What it will do is it will move this particular file from working tree to staging area. Again, we will run the git status just to see whether it has reached to the staging area or not. And once it does, it shows, then we would be running git commit -m, and I'll just give the comment as first commit. And using then after again I would be running this git status command. So the file or working tree should be clean. So the file is already part of branch now once we commit it. And using git log, we can see what commit ID has been generated, and this message description also we would be able to see. And using git push command, we would be able to move whatever file that we created on our local to the remote repository that's on GitHub. Okay, on GitHub, then we will go to GitHub and check this file. Okay, let's go to GitHub first. Let us create our first file. Let's first click on this logo. On the left hand side, you have this, see this menu will keep, sometimes the look and feel will keep on changing. But you can make a note like it says create repository. This is what we require to do, create repository, and give repository a name. I'll say git practice 1, and you can give it a description. This is for practicing git commands. From here, you can select whether it should be a public. Public means anyone over the internet would be able to see. If I select this one, then only I can see, or I can select, I can give the permission to selected user to see it. For the time being, I'm just keeping it public. It says add me a readme file, add a readme file. Readme file is always, whenever you create a project, always there is a readme file. So if you do that, a default readme file will be created. But for the timing, I am not selecting it. And I will simply directly go to this create. I will leave everything as it is and click here, create repository. So now this repository has been created. So what we require to do is we require to click on this SSH, and we require to copy this entire path. So for copying this symbol, you can click, it will copy this entire path. Now let's go back to our Linux machine. Let us first create our directory mkdir. I am using same name on my local as well, git practice 1 ls -l ls -l. Yeah, so this is a directory. This is a normal directory. We will go inside this directory ls -l, nothing is there. Now we would initialize this directory as git directory, git init, enter. It says initialized empty git directory. Now the next step is we require to create a branch. For that, git branch -m, and the name of the branch is main. Once you have it, let's add the connection details of the remote repository. For that, git remote add origin, and the URL that I copied, this is the SSH URL that I copied. So just paste it there, click enter. Now your connection details are also stored now. Okay. As a next step, let's create our first file. Before that, let me show you ls-l, nothing is there. Now create our first file, hello world should be the content, and the name of the file is file1.txt. Enter ls-l, you would be able to see a file is there. But this file is automatically moved to the working tree as well. How would we know that? Git status. If you see, it says untracked file. All the files which are present in the working tree are considered as the untracked file from the Git perspective. So Git understand if it is in the working tree, it means you would like to do some changes and it's not putting much attention. But once you do your changes, then you can use this git add command to send this file to the staging area, and from there on Git will start tracking it. So for that I shared the command as git add dot, click here. Now again git status, you see the difference now. Here it was untracked file, here it is now tracking and it says changes to be committed, and the color has been changed. Earlier it was red and now it's green, means, and it is showing like what type of file, whether it's a new file, or if you are making any changes in the existing file, it will show as the modified file. So this is how you can understand what changes you are making into the file. Now your file is into the git into the staging area. To send file from staging area, you require to commit, and what command is git commit -m space double quotes first commit. It says that one file changed, one insertion, the content is having only one line text, and the mode of the file that has been created is 644. Let us again run the git status command now. It says that you are on branch main, nothing to commit, working tree is clean. You see all these things are gone now. It's completely clean because it has become part of the branch, main branch. And if you would like to see the commit detail, write the git log command, and you see this commit id, this is 40 alphanumeric character, and it says that okay, this was the name that we set, right? User, demo user, and demo user at the gmail.com. And what message it is showing, it is the first commit, and when exactly it happened, it is showing this date and time as well. Now our commit has happened only on the local machine. Now we would like to send this commit to the remote repository. For that, we require to use the command git push origin main. Enter. Okay. It says that okay, new branch, because the branch you created only on your local, now it has created the same branch on the remote repository as well. Let's go and verify in GitHub. We are on the GitHub. I'll just say refresh this page. All right. So we have our first file, file1.txt. Click here and you can see the content, hello world. With this, we have completed our first tutorial, and I will be sharing another tutorial where we would be going through some more important topics of GitHub and Git, and we'll understand those concepts, and I'll share the commands also. So we'll go in detail in the next tutorial. So thank you so much for watching this video. In case you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you would like to get notified as soon as I publish next video, then you can subscribe to my channel and click on bell icon. I would be sharing notes of this video on Telegram channel that has been created. So you can join that channel. This is publicly available, and you can download the note from there. If you would like to provide financial support, so you can donate to our PayPal donation link. Alright then, see you in the next tutorial.